Among the many African countries that gained independence from colonial rule in the 1950s and 60s, Nigeria, then a nation of about 35 million people, stood out as one that captured the world's attention. This video, produced 65 years ago, is a beautifully descriptive and historically rich piece that captures Nigeria's journey with remarkable cultural and geographic depth. Stay tuned.
This is the sound of Africa. Listen to it. It is being heard across the world. It is the voice of many peoples, alive with a common purpose. It is the heartbeat of a continent coming at last into command of its own destiny. One after another, the African peoples are rising to their feet in proud possession of nationhood. In recent years, most of Africa and 3/4 of its inhabitants have achieved self-government. As nation after nation newborn shoulders the responsibilities of sovereignty, there is one to which the world community is looking as an example of orderly transfer to independence. It is Nigeria, a nation of more than 35 millions, the largest in all the African landmass. Nigeria is a federated state with 3 main political divisions, each with its own regional government. It includes more than 250 linguistic groups. Their traditions are as old as time, but their land is fast moving into the modern age. Where Yoruba talking drums once spoke from village to village of the western region, there is now television, and a radio network links together all Nigeria's peoples and its regions. Beyond the land of the Yoruba, there stretches back from the Atlantic coast the eastern region, whose people are the Ibu and Ibibio, the Efik, the Ifike, and others. The many broadcasting stations, which reach into all corners of the region, are part of the federally chartered network, speaking to the people as a nation, while respecting their local cultures. The people of the East still hold to their ancient loyalties, but they share with all of Nigeria a flaming pride in national independence. The land of the Hausa, the Fulani, the Kanuri, and many smaller groups is the huge northern region. Here, too, for all its size, radio keeps the farthest villages informed of the march of world events.
Ma'aikatan ministan gona ta jihar Arewa ta sake gargaɗin manoma kada su aika da auduga maras kyau zuwa kasuwoyin duniya. Iyakan labaran kenan daga gidan rediyon Kaduna na jihar Arewa ta Nigeria. We now present a half-hour program of Taushi music played by Sarkin Taushi Katsina and his group.
The Hausa people know and love the epic ballads, composed in traditional forms, with which their singers of old celebrated great tribal events and glorified their leaders.
Mamman Habu, Bello Biremiya, Bello ɗan Ibrahim, ci da ƙarfin maza. Korauna magaji ba ja da kai wargi. Na gode ma isan waziri, raina ya amince da kai ɗan dawa. Na gode ma isan waziri, raina ya amince da kai ɗan dawa. Tun da Kaduna ne irke.
Nowadays, they sing of national achievements. Besides Nigeria's three main political divisions, there is the self-governing Federal District, which contains the capital, Lagos, central point of the national radio network. The ruling city of Nigeria for more than half a century, Lagos prides itself on being modern and cosmopolitan. For generations, Lagos was Nigeria's major port, its chief gateway to the faraway outside world. Today, that world is much nearer, and its realities intimately affect the new nation's existence. From two great wars in which Nigeria's men fought bravely overseas, they have learned that in a time of powerful international rivalries, no tribe or clan, however courageous, can stand alone. As a young nation grappling with the problems of self-government, Nigerians are finding that the old loyalties are no longer enough. They know that to grow great under freedom, they must establish national unity in a country which geography and history have tended always to divide. For their land is many lands, and their people, many peoples. Where the great ocean rolls in from the other side of the world, and the Niger River comes down to meet it, river and sea combine to create a vast green lowland of tidal swamp, crossed by a maze of waterways. Here, the first Portuguese explorers, arriving in Nigeria from overseas 500 years ago, found the banks lined with villages, outposts of flourishing coastal kingdoms. With dense forests to protect them from enemies inland, and with the ocean a barrier against outsiders from beyond the seas, the peoples of the coast had lived more or less unmolested by the outer world for unnumbered generations. By the 15th century, the kingdoms of the South had reached a peak of cultural development. What remains to us of their artistic achievements is enough to make Nigeria's museums envied the world over. The collections in Nigeria's galleries contain superb works of art. The famed bronzes from the ancient kingdoms of Ife and Benin are everywhere recognized as masterpieces. With keen observation, Benin artists depicted what they saw around them, explorers and missionaries from other lands, as well as their own people. Through the eyes of men who lived many centuries ago, we know the look of Portuguese soldiers of the time, the first Europeans they had ever seen. As works of art, these rank among the most remarkable achievements of man. They are a part of the proud heritage from ancient times to which Nigerians can turn in their search for a national identity. But theirs is a heritage drawn from no single culture, nor from any single region. Beyond the coastal lands, sweeping up to the very edge of the Sahara, lies the northern region, today an area of groundnut pyramids and dry plains. Commercial caravans were finding their way to this region by the 15th century from the great Arab Empire, from Morocco, and the lands beyond Lake Chad. Walled towns like Kano sprang up and grew to prosperity. Trade with the Arabs persisted down the centuries. It was in Nigeria that the Moroccans found the skins for their famed leatherwork. The granite pits in which skins and textiles were prepared are in use to this day. The 13th century saw the faith of Islam introduced into the land. Under the Fulani, it quickly spread throughout the region, and in time to other parts of Nigeria. With the new religion came the whole Muslim structure of government and laws, of spiritual and temporal leadership. Much of it has been incorporated into the new nation's parliamentary framework of government. Men like the Emir of Kano still retain their positions of power, governing large sections of the population. Their courts of justice are conducted according to Muslim law, as they have been for centuries, with the Emir himself presiding. Sessions are open to all the people, so they may satisfy themselves that decisions are made even-handedly and without favor. Giver of laws and upholder of the one true God to millions of Nigerians is the revered Sultan of Sokoto. As Sarki Muslimi, leader of the faithful, he is one of the world's highest-ranking Muslims. He is spiritual leader to all of his faith in Nigeria and parts of nearby lands. Within the new structure of regional authority, he governs as well some 2 million people of the huge Sokoto Emirate. His council is made up of men known for their modern outlook. But though Nigeria's Muslim leaders live fully in the modern world, they have not forgotten the ways of tradition. The ancient esteem for valor and horsemanship is strong as ever among leaders and people alike. A tribute traditionally paid to men of rank and eminent visitors is the full ceremonial charge of the Muslim horseman. Though the power of most Muslim leaders is a legacy from the past, their influence is often directed towards progress. A potentate like the Shehu of Bornu, for example, picks as his waziri a man of high abilities, widely traveled, at home in business, statecraft, and education. Beneath their traditional robes, leaders and their counselors are men of today, alert to the times and to the currents of international affairs. Below the junction of the Niger and Benue, where the southern regions lie, the river and its delta channels were ways by which another great religion arrived from outside. Christianity, like Islam, has helped shape the heritage of Nigeria. The Christian missionaries of the last century brought to Nigeria something else besides faith. They brought to the young education, knowledge, and they planted among them the first seeds of national parliamentary democracy. Today, many of these schools are supported by the state. In them, the young of a new generation are preparing for the responsibilities of nationhood, absorbing a sense of national identity.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. The tribe and tongue that differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigeria's all are proud to serve as sovereign motherland.
Besides the heritage from earlier centuries, Nigeria can draw from another, more recent heritage. A young nation must be able to build a self-supporting economy out of its natural resources and the skills of its people. At the very beginning of its independence, Nigeria has a head start towards this goal. In the eastern region, foreign oil companies, in partnership with the government, have discovered important deposits of petroleum. Now technicians are exploring the coastal area further, seeking and finding more wealth beneath its waters. Huge floating rigs are probing down 12 to 14,000 feet below the riverbeds. And before long, they may be exploring the bottom of the ocean itself, just offshore. Another possible project for the future is a refinery. The partnership in petroleum is full of promise for Nigeria, provided it can produce and ship oil cheaply enough to compete in the world markets. This depends in part on developments at Port Harcourt on the Bonny River, chief port of the oil region. There, for years, deep draft ships could take on only a part of their cargoes at dock because of sandbars which block the river mouth. By cutting an experimental channel through the bar, the oil company aims to create a new deepwater port. On an island downstream, it is building a shipping depot with huge storage tanks, supplied direct by pipeline. When completed, it will increase Nigeria's oil export capacity from about 500,000 to nearly 2 million tons a year. Though there are not many deepwater ports in the land, there are all the rivers that thread the delta area with their narrow and tricky channels. Most of them are alive with foreign commerce. Big ships carrying the products of forest industries hidden away in the bush. Out of the big tracts of valuable timber in the land, Nigerians and British together have built up an important industry over the years. Fine woods are among the country's major exports, and its modern sawmills and lumber plants are a basic resource it can count on in making the transition to self-government and self-support. Many thousands of Nigerian workers are employed turning out logs and sawn lumber, plywood and veneer for markets at home and across the ocean. Rubber is another of Nigeria's important forest industries, for the natural product from the sap of the tree is still in demand the world over. Nigeria has yet to develop a processing industry, but the raw material gives employment to many workers and brings in sizable revenues from abroad. Nigeria's busy palm oil industry provides exports of even greater value. From the pod of the oil palm alone come 1 million barrels of oil a year, while the nut yields many other important products. Wild trees still account for 90% of Nigeria's oil palm products. But among the forests, more and more plantations of cultivated trees are growing up, from hybrid seedlings distributed free of charge. Through years of experimentation, government researchers have developed an improved type of oil palm. Its pod yields 12 times as much oil because of the thicker layer of fatty pulp surrounding the thin inner shell. Agricultural research is financed by commodity marketing boards, which control the production as well as the marketing of major crops. In 3 of these, oil palms, ground nuts, and cocoa, Nigeria stands among the world leaders. Upstream along the Niger River, the coastal regions give way to another kind of land with a different way of living. Where land and water routes meet, there are towns like Onitshu, in which trade is the main livelihood. Swarming markets on the riverbank attract farmers and merchants from all the surrounding country. Back from the river in the eastern region, the land begins yielding wealth of another kind, mineral resources. Over the years, thousands of men have been trained to jobs in the mines, and more are being trained every year, creating a pool of skilled labor of great value to the nation. To a young country busy building up its industries, an ample supply of coal from its own mines is a great advantage. Since construction plays so large a part in the work ahead, Nigeria is fortunate in having both the raw materials and the skills for making cement. Already it has outgrown the big cement plant the British erected at Nkalashu. Now a still bigger one is underway in the western region. One of the most modern in the world, it will produce 200,000 tons a year and make Nigeria practically self-sufficient in an essential commodity it has always had to import. To the northeast, high up on the Jos Plateau, the country has other and richer mineral resources, vast deposits of tin. Enormous machines which strip the earth away to get at the tin beneath enable 2 or 3 men to move 50,000 tons of topsoil a day. Some 60 different mining companies from foreign countries are at work on the plateau by arrangement with the government. Their total output ranges from 5 to 10,000 tons a year or more, most of it for export to world markets. Nigeria's tin mines, the largest in the world, are still another part of the industrial heritage upon which its people are building towards national progress and unity. Because a unified country is not possible without transportation, the government is extending existing railway lines into the north, as far as Maiduguri, 900 miles back from the coast. This will open up a vast agricultural area, a semi-arid land which for thousands of years has been a seasonal grazing ground for cattle. But every year, with the dry season, whole villages have had to set out across the country in search of water for their herds. Today, at 10-mile intervals, the government is sinking deep borehole wells, bringing up pressure water from hundreds of feet below, enough for men and animals, enough even to bring hope of someday irrigating much of the area. Now, at last, thousands of wandering people can look forward to settling down in villages where they can raise profitable crops and enjoy together the pleasures of community life. But for all the growing promise of the future, most cattle herders are still rovers, and on their wanderings, they face dreaded enemies. Most deadly among them is the tsetse fly, Nigeria's greatest insect menace to both men and cattle. Against this menace, Nigeria's government is continuing to fight with all the resources of science available to it. Whole areas of the land are so infested that neither cattle nor men can live in them, nor even pass through them without danger of death. At many points, the government has established checking stations where herds moving from area to area can be examined. Healthy cattle are treated to prevent disease and marked for further checking so the government can trace the results of its program. Nigeria's schools of animal husbandry are fully enlisted in the war against cattle disease. Not only sleeping sickness, but rinderpest, tuberculosis, and other dangers. In the government's Agricultural Research and Training Center at VOM, leaders are being trained for the long, hard struggle ahead. They are studying the weapons available to man in his constant battle against sickness and famine and death. And they are helping to develop new programs for tomorrow so that he may provide better for himself and his family. Beginning with the study of the animal itself, students are learning all the ways science has yet found of growing bigger herds and healthier stock. Armed with this knowledge, they may enter government service as full-time agricultural agents, or they may go back to their own homes to spread the word among nearby villages. All this struggle against livestock disease and bad farming practice is only part of a greater war being carried on in villages and towns across the nation. A war to enable the people to overcome the enemies nature has ranged against them. To use the land and its resources to the fullest. To improve their own lot and the lot of sons and grandsons to come after them. In this war, eventual victory is the more certain because of the decades of education and preparation for self-rule which have led up to independence. For many years, Nigeria's institutions have been turning out young men and women equipped with the skills needed to help build a modern state. Not technicians and scientists alone are needed, but artists and craftsmen, bringing to life again an old creative heritage. Planners and architects of the nation's future. The Institute of Administration has been applying itself to another of the great needs of a young nation, a class of civil servants and administrators capable of running an efficient government. Thus, in its early years of nationhood, when it needs them most, Nigeria can draw on many kinds of specialists, from town planners to social workers, from accountants to all essential typists.
8 taps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Carriage return.
In the National Police Force, more than 12,000 disciplined men and women have learned to place before all else their responsibility towards the government they serve and its orderly processes of law. Under the Commonwealth, police officers from all parts of the land and from all levels, sons of farmers as well as sons of chieftains, have found satisfaction in winning honors and promotion by their own merit. And through free discussion and a free press, they, like others in Nigeria, have threshed out their individual ideas of political and intellectual freedom. Nigeria's press is one of the freest in the world. Its 22 daily papers and 36 others, published weekly or semi-weekly, have been a real force for democracy among the people everywhere. They have helped keep the nation informed on issues and personalities from all points of view in each of the elections, which under the Commonwealth have been its rehearsals for self-government. To free elections, the people of Nigeria have taken with wholehearted enthusiasm. Everywhere there is an eagerness to take part, to understand, to exercise a free choice. Women are as serious about it as men. In the South, where they have the right to vote, they have refused to be brushed aside. Long ago, when they found themselves being ignored by the men, the market women of Lagos took the lead in demanding their rights. Since then, the women of the South have become a real political power. Their vote is sought after by all parties and sometimes decides the outcome of elections. Throughout the land, politicians have mastered the tricks of the electioneering trade, like hiring planes to fling party symbols across the sky. Their training in democracy has given to Nigerians a firm grounding in the party system of parliamentary government, with its basic idea of an active and respected opposition. Party symbols are the easiest way of making sure that in a land of so many different peoples with so many different languages, everyone can tell which candidate he is voting for. From long apprenticeship, the people have learned well the ways of self-government. Not just the names and symbols of the parties, but what is more important, the issues they stand for. And the right to vote is a right they take care to exercise. At polling time, a far bigger percentage of the people turns out to vote than in most other democratic countries. It is an obligation they recognize and accept. Beyond that, it is a privilege they have struggled for, and they know its worth. Year in and year out, watching their votes sweep candidates into or out of office, they have seen growing up in the land a body of able and experienced statesmen, men they could trust to lead them over the threshold of independence. At Kaduna, capital of the northern region, the premier is a personage long used to leadership. Alhaji Sir Amadou Bello, the Sardauna of Sokoto. From the time he first took office, Sir Amadou has made himself accessible to community and business leaders concerned with regional progress. In his own executive council, he has surrounded himself with forward-looking men, experienced not only in politics, but in the economics of good government. For Nigeria's problem in the years leading up to independence has been mainly economic, learning to stand on its own feet and pay its own way in a sharply competitive world. Capital of the eastern region is Enugu, a growing city of handsome public buildings. In the premier's residence at Enugu sits a leader of broad education and long experience in government, Dr. M.I. Okpara. The region he governs includes some of the world's most densely populated areas, and the members of his executive council represent peoples of many widely varying cultural groups with diverse problems. In a far-seeing development program, the government is seeking to improve the lot of its people and bring trade to the eastern region. Ibadan, largest of Nigeria's cities, is the capital of the western region. It too is growing rapidly, emerging as an impressive new city of architectural distinction. At the head of its government is another leader of ability and experience, Chief S.L. Akintola. Now in the second of two 5-year development programs of their own, the premier and his council are making a determined attack upon the economic problems of the Western peoples. Almost surrounded by the Western region, though not part of it, is the Federal District of Lagos. Lagos is the seat of Nigeria's central government today, as in the years when the nation was a colony. Now the government, with its 2 legislative houses, is Nigeria's own. In its democratically elected House of Representatives, the nation's great men are proud to serve. Leaders like Chief Obafemi Awolowo, former premier of the Western region and one of the architects of Nigerian independence. In the House, there is 1 member for each 100,000 of Nigeria's people, and in its debates is reflected every shade of opinion from every region. Deliberations of the House, as of the Senate, are reported to the nation by radio.
This is the Senate, Nigeria's federal upper house, Nigeria's melting pot, where all political differences and regional sectionalism coalesce. Here, all Nigeria meets, and the heart of a modern nation is being built. In the corridor leading into the chamber is a giant portrait of the nation's Prime Minister, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. Inside the chamber of the Senate, you cannot fail to be impressed by the sight that leaps up at your eyes and the spirit of unity that underlies its conception. Under the able and dignified presidentship of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, who was until his present appointment the premier of the Eastern region and who is a passionate nationalist known throughout the west coast of Africa, the Senate is well and truly established. The senators are men of integrity and moderation, men, and for the first time, a woman senator, Senator Mrs. Wuro Essen, who have been appointed for their ability to view all the possible sides of an issue and then deliver an impartial opinion. There are many keen and brilliant debaters in the Senate. The main item on the order paper...
As Prime Minister, Sir Abubakar's first concern is with the future of Nigeria in relation to the rest of the world.
Nigerians are a friendly people, and we hope to develop friendly relations not only in the field of international politics, but also in the more individual relationships which spring from trade and commerce. The traders of Nigeria have a long history in Africa, and I have no doubt that they will soon be as well known in other continents.
In the days ahead, the new nation and those its people have called upon to lead it must face many perplexities and many perils. The federal government takes into its hands the leadership of a country launched hopefully upon its way to greatness. It is a land already far advanced into the world of today, a world of industry and commerce in which the profitable interchange of goods among nations means economic life. To leave as much money as possible for vital imports, Nigeria is producing more of the consumer goods it once bought overseas. Today, much of the cotton Nigerians use comes from their own mills, and before long, they hope to increase their output of raw cotton. The government is laying down new highways to far-off places, and towns and cities are expanding. Across the land, regional governments are enthusiastically promoting better housing, and new streets are honoring revered leaders. Houses, well designed and comfortable to live in, are priced at levels Nigerians can pay, whether they are professional people or workmen. There are fine hospitals among the cities where the sick can find first-class treatment, whatever their incomes. Hospital staffs are well-trained and disciplined, and every effort is made to obtain the most modern equipment. Services cover the full range, from a simple blood count to major surgery. At Ibadan, University College is helping to meet the needs of a young country for the knowledge which brings progress. Its dormitories are homes for those from far away, and in its auditoriums and classrooms, the youth of all the nation come together. And now the ocean, which was for so long a barrier and protection against outsiders, has become instead a main avenue by which world trade finds its way to Nigeria's shores. It has become the broad and gleaming highroad which links the newborn nation with its friends and well-wishers beyond the seas. Today, like all the rest of the free world, Nigeria looks towards the shining tower of the United Nations, symbol of man's present hope for peace. For upon words spoken here and the events that come of them may depend the very survival of mankind. In this world community of nations, Nigeria holds today a proud and honored place of its own by unanimous vote of the General Assembly. On the 7th of October in 1960, its Prime Minister was welcomed by the representatives of 98 other sovereign states, as Nigeria's delegation took its seat among them for the first time.
Just 1 week ago, as the clocks were striking midnight and Nigeria was on the threshold of independence, there was a brief ceremony at which the leaders of 3 different faiths each said a brief prayer. We then realized, all of us, that however much we might imagine ourselves to be responsible for the happy accession to independence, we realize that above all, there is a divine providence. And I do honestly believe that one primary essential to international friendship and cooperation is for each man to be true to his religious beliefs and to reaffirm the basic principles of his particular creed. It may be that then, when we hear the world crying out for peace, we may receive the inspiration to deal with these intractable problems and be able really to devote all our resources to the advancement of mankind by applying those eternal truths which will inevitably persist long after we ourselves are utterly forgotten. Thank you, Mr. President.